In the very first match of the tournament here at the StarLadder Minor, we've got Game 3 as forZe roar back behind the Gibkiy lone druid. He feeds 3 bears in the first 5 minutes, still manages to post 25k building damage, the 4th highest total on any hero out of 450 professional matches in the current patch. As we turn back to the panel, we get to do some real analysis this time. We talked a lot about the draft in the first game, but this one was really about execution. Where did it all go wrong for Business Associates?
It's about the comeback mechanics, man. You feed those bears so that you can farm.
I think your mic is muted, brother. We'll go to winner first.
Well, like Carl mentioned during the post game, he said that he felt like in the game, the bottom fight when the Business Associates team tried to defend the tier 1, and we had like a brief discussion about why you think it was not a good move to defend the tower.
It's just pure risk reward. Like if you look at heat maps and you look at statistically, that area of the map, that bottom tier 1 defense in the first 10 to 15 minutes, that's one of the most dangerous areas of the map for raiding to play in.
I mean, I don't disagree, but I felt like given the situation, because they won their lanes,
given the amount of bears that he fed on that lane,
when you're strong, I don't think you want to give up just towers. You know, I understand the fact that it's easier to go for trades sometimes, and you don't really want to make the game really hard for you. But I think that given the scenario where they were leading by, I think, 4 or 5k during that tower defense, I think it was completely reasonable for them to try and defend the tower.
I think it's reasonable, but where do you cross the line? Like, what's the lead necessary to go and defend these towers that you shouldn't? I think it's a trap. Many
lot of
times.
things I think play into factor, like if you have a lineup where you have a Brewmaster split, like for example where you have all these big ultimates to defend a tower, like Hyde and Brew are the 2 easiest examples
but
I can give you.
But you're also playing versus a team that has a lot of those ultimates in a game such as this one. So.
You can't say for a certain every game. It's always based on the given scenario and what heroes do you have, so that you can decide whether it is of your best interest to defend or not to defend.
I also want to talk about 9 a little bit. That's what I said. Like first he ate so many bears for lunch early on, but also he leveled ulti just to be able to get that 1 bear on SF. He played really well. Then bought those travels and it kind of went downhill from there. Travels, Yules didn't really work out a couple of times.
You see that fight,
no,
right?
the thing with this kind of build is like if you play with Yules and travel, you're so vulnerable to dying in the fights, right?
Yes.
And it's like a snowballing build. Yeah, sure, if you're killing and killing and killing and killing, it's great. But when you die, it stops your momentum.
And I'll give you some credit, Winner. You said at the time to me that fight was a lot closer than maybe we gave it credit for. And if either SF gets Requiem off or if they get the body block on the bear, SF survives anyway.
It was, but you're risking. That's the trap, right? You're making this slight risk which might lose you the game, and that's exactly what happened here. Also, before we talked about how their position 1 and position 2 must complement each other with the playstyle and the item builds that they go for. This is something that teams such as Secret does so well with Matu right now. You have Monkey King that can either fit this hard carry role or the playmaking role, right? Yeah. If you have this Monkey King in this game, which is just rotating, he rotated from that safe lane to the off lane so early on, created so many plays and created so much space. Why are you also doing the same with SF? Why are you also doing the same build? That's going to allow you to make these playmaking plays. Why aren't you going for this snowbally kind of rifle build?
It's the BKB, right? I mean, the 2 fights after the 12-minute fight were both on the dire side of the map, where MoOz playing without BKB, and he has to commit his Wukong early.
It's not just about the BKB. I think what Lisa is trying to say is about the mentality of the team. You know, who is actually playing to win the game. They are both like trying to play for someone else. The SF and the Monkey King. This is because of I think. The natural instinct of the player, because Mo is an off-laner, and the SF, he's a player where like very published mentality. He plays very risky. He likes to do flashy things, and he likes to just play his own game. So he's essentially not trying to carry the game by himself. Maybe it works in pubs because it's a pub and you can keep killing your enemies, but when it comes to a competitive environment, you get easily punished when you're trying to do this kind of risky plays.
I really think that they felt a bit too relaxed in the second game after the way they won that first one, and they got just severely punished for that. I really think that this SF is a very capable SF player. I've known 9 and I've watched him played against him many times before, and I know that he can itemize properly. But you could see the way they were playing. It's not only about him, it's what Nahaz just said. It's about the BKBs too. Like they're constantly trying to fight before finishing those BKBs, and they get punished even after losing that tier 1 fight on the bottom lane. They get punished multiple times in the dire jungle.
This one could be said to that the team feels like, because they won their lanes, they are still in the mindset of, we're actually winning, even though after they lost the bottom fight, so they're still playing as if they have a
Nothing
lead.
happened.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's why they keep doing that.
And they played that way despite repeatedly mis-executing in a couple fights. I remember I looked up at you guys at 21 minutes in and said, this is a point in the game where as Radiant, you think you have a 10K lead and you're actually up more like 2 or 3K. And that kind of mentality really plays into the fact that you try and take those very aggressive fights still.
It's really hard to stay disciplined and sober and play a normal match when you dominate the lanes as hard as they have. Like, your Mars won the lane. Your Monkey King was uncontested versus the Bloodseeker that was level 3 for like minute 8 or something. Your SF killed 9 million bears on that mid lane. It's difficult to stay composed and just not go heads first, like
at the same time. I also feel like, though, if you're business associates, this is a pretty easy mulligan to give yourself. You're looking at this and you're going, fine. All right, you know what? We left the Lone Druid on the table. We knew what we were getting into. We obviously had a draft played around it. We talked about that based on the way that they picked after they saw the Lone Druid on the board. And I mean, that statistic that I talked about in the intro, you just saw pop up on screen. That 24K building damage, that's the 4th highest total on any hero this patch. And that's after feeding 3 bears in the first 5 minutes. So I just think you don't let forZe have that hero, and do they have the same kind of impact draft up their sleeve to beat you in a game 3?
No, I agree with you. I think what they did in that game 1 was exactly what you were talking about right now. They banned out the Lone Druid in the second stage and they banned out the Meepo. But after winning so comfortably and so easily, they thought, all right, let's see if we can win even versus their best stuff.
I mean, let's not forget they swapped the pick order. I highlighted the importance of, like, even though the first game was a big storm, but it could be that a new team that doesn't really know how to plan the draft around being a second pick.
It's true.
And this game, they were first pick, and they did their draft much better. Maybe not some of the picks were not the best, but overall they had a much better idea on how they wanted to play the game and how they wanted to draft according to it this time around.
I don't want to get too much into theory crafting here, but do you feel like draft has gotten more important this season, even over the last 2?
Because everyone is getting better, so your skill overall is closer. Therefore, the draft makes the game change a lot more because everyone is so closely contested. That's why it's very important to understand how you plan the game around the pick order. I keep repeating this because I think this is very, very important for the teams that want to move from tier 2 to tier 1.5 or 1.5 to 1. Planning the draft around the pick sequence, not just your overall game plan, is very, very important.
Yeah, I think that's completely correct. And when you see the speed at which some of these teams adapt to innovations, like the idea of taking your mid position with the overall 10 pick is a relatively new thing. And you can see that these teams already have game plans in place.
I think if forZe get first pick, they are going to have a very comfortable position in the draft. Because what I feel that from the first 2 games is if they can get Gibkiy a comfortable hero, pick his hero early, he doesn't get into a spot where I have to play some other hero around, other than my comfortable heroes, they will be in a very, very good spot in winning the deciding game.
Yeah, the thing though that I look at, I don't know that there's another hero for Gibkiy that they've shown the same kind of lineup variety around.
But you said that he had a few, right?
Yeah, he has basically your Lone Druids, your Brood Mothers, your Meepos. His Visage, I believe, is something that we might see.
Visage is another one. They had a couple games that I was looking at earlier with that. The problem with the Brood and the Meepo that's not true with the Lone Druid is that when you draft a Brood and the Meepo, the other team knows how you have to play around those heroes in order to be successful. The Lone Druid is something that has a little more variety. You can put together more drafts around it.
It's easier. Visage also very similar to him. Obviously,
if you can get past the thing is, I actually really loved Visage still as a hero concept, but you have to get past the laning phase somehow.
Yeah, it is very difficult. And
wait, the hero has a laning phase?
Yeah, no, exactly. You just have to not get completely shoved off the map. So do you just quickly out of curiosity, guys, do you think the nerf to Snapfire was not quite enough? I mean, the ulti damage nerf, which is the thing that I thought was really imba about the hero, was fairly substantial.
I think the second thing imba about the hero is you can clear the crit wave with Q and W, like 2 spells. So the hero gets items very quickly. It's not just about him contributing a lot with his spells, but it's all about the items that he can get because he farms very quickly.
I love the Lone Druid ban, but overall, I don't think Snapfire should be banned as much as she's being banned, especially now after the nerfs. Even what I saw from her in the Mad Moon event
Wait,
wasn't really.
what?
It wasn't really.
Were you watching? Like,
Come on, bro.
The thing is, Kuro played that hero as 5, and he was he just needed one more hero to be a kill combo anywhere as a 5 position.
Alan,
and when you
let's,
have that,
let's agree to disagree.
Let's just. There were some games that were in which Snapfire was super exceptional.
I just felt like at that point, I just felt like the ult damage was too much.
I mean, sure, when you say there are some games, those are the games
Fair
where
enough, fair
the
enough.
Snapfire had a lot of setup, like avoid chrono.
No, to be fair, I tend to say those things to you guys because I know you're going to come back at me with that kind of stuff, and I think it's interesting because that's sort of the balanced approach to Dota. Everything's OP, so nothing is.
She's super annoying in the laning stage as well. There's also that very tanky in the laning stage, hard to deal with.
Strength hero, Kappa.
Yeah, strength hero, your movement speed slowed, attack speed slowed, everything slowed. You're being stunned. She's feeding cookies to her carry. He's stunning you as well. It's just
Sounds like Earth Spirit, yeah? The old Earth
Oh
Spirit.
yeah. So this is interesting. So at least one of Lifestealer or Void Spirit are going to be on the board going into the first phase of the draft. Of course, Lifestealer was on the board in the last draft and didn't get touched.
Yeah, but what's more important that I want to see is like how are they going to deal with being the second pick again this time?
Yeah.
Because the first time round, I think that what they did was with AA plus Mars opening. That didn't work out too well because of the follow-up picks later.
I think that's a better open than maybe it showed in that draft because I think Mars has tremendous flex value the way that it's played in CIS. I mean, I think the key to the key to the second pick open has always been if you're gonna pick a core, it's got to be a flex.
Yeah, but I rather them like do AA Earthshaker.
yeah.
You want to chill both supports?
I mean, I think it's fine depending on like how they want to plan.
Oh, Lich. All right.
Baby lanes.
Lich is like a solid opening pick. Good support for the laning phase.
Yeah, it's something that's not going to get hard countered. Right?
I think if you're forced, it's fine for you to open with 2 supports like Interced, as long as you're hiding your cores because they are the ones with limited hero pools with those heroes that they have to play.
I'm not saying it's the best.
I'm going to get you the stats on this because I think dual support opens as second pick. Incredibly dangerous.
Earthshaker doesn't have to be. I mean, I know it's low chance, but he doesn't have to be 100% a support.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's true.
That's also the thing.
That's fair. That's fair. I like it.
But I
And it's going to be Mars again.
I personally like the like what you said, the core plus support.
Yeah, I think it's
or at least a very flexible.
solid lane support and flex potential core is like that's been the prototype for your second pick open for years.
Oh, there we go, Mars and Enchantress.
Oh, Mars and Enchantress. Okay.
So the enchant can
Enchantress
is like plus
always
5.
a CIS staple.
You have that Dispel versus
for the
the
shield,
Lich as well for the shield. Overall, it's just a strong hero. Has been nerfed a little bit. Your impetus costs a bit more mana early on, and this is a hero I was waiting to see. Like Ricky, I think
it's a signature for them.
Yeah, I think it's in a really good spot right now. I think this hero is pretty
Strong
strong.
laner.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have run this a couple of times, including a win against Fighting Pandas here recently in the qualifiers. I think this is the first time that they've shown it first phase.
So you always hit from behind, so it doesn't proc the bulk wall, right? When you cast your blink
Or
strike.
he just instantly turns and shields.
Yeah, but overall it's a very strong lane. And this time they opted to choose their carry at the number 10 pick. So probably the mid lane hero will come out like at 18. But Ricky, like you said, is like at a very good spot because his laning phase got buffed, and he's way more harder to kill right now with the way they changed the spells.
Well, and I think that the only concern is if I see a Ricky this early, I want to see I
mean,
want to know his laning part.
The double
And the Lich is
the
gonna
double
be-
It should
blink
be Lich,
the double
yeah.
blink strike is actually very very strong in the early game.
Later on with the talent as well, it's just so difficult to take him down. But it is also about the laning stage, like you just said. He needs a good laning partner. I think Lich is pretty solid. The question is, what will forZe bring against that? Is it going to be your Enchantress plus Mars, or is it going to be something else with that Mars?
I also like it. It brings me back to a point that Winner made earlier about how one of the strengths as first pick is you usually should be able to secure an advantage in the 2 side lanes. You're giving up that last pick, which is usually going to be the mid, but I think this is just such a way. It's a way to solidify that, right? You basically have to tri lane to really punish Ricky and Lich.
I love the PL ban. I think it's like these illusion heroes really mess with Ricky quite a lot. So your PLs, your Nagas, they have to be banned out.
Just get better for you.
Yeah. I mean, I have seen
Or
Battle
Magnus,
Fury.
Magnus Ricky is.
Magnus Ricky.
Oh, yeah.
I have seen Battle Fury Ricky as well. It was by some Chinese team, I
That
believe, and it
can't
worked.
be good.
It worked out. It worked out in that game.
Yeah, some
but
games,
his laning stage,
some games is actually pretty good.
But the problem is you're just AFK for so long, and your laning stage is just.
Oh, that's why you
dead.
draft the Magnus, so it's free.
I mean, worth saying, Business Associates is not a Magnus team. They haven't played Magnus in the last 2 patches, but I do like that as a point. I think that's a good.
Yeah, but it's actually not so good right now compared to before
Yeah.
because they changed the Empower.
Well, they had to. I mean, that spell. That was the best spell in Dota for a while.
Okay, so they banned out the Rubik and
So you think with the Rubik ban? they're
yeah,
thinking about-
I'm thinking
they're
why
about
they
Shaker?
I'm thinking why they banned out the Rubik.
I think that they're gonna pick Shaker.
Probably, yeah. I mean, the other reason, maybe they just felt like Rubik's a good laning hero.
I don't think if you pick Shaker here, your lane
Yeah,
with
it's
Mars
very
is pretty
weird if they pick
weird.
Shaker.
It's weak. I don't like it that
No,
much.
Mars is, but Mars can be mid though. Keep in mind.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
it
that's-
could be mid. Yeah, Ricky could be mid as well. You never know.
Okay.
Grimstroke. No real soulbind.
This hero is actually pretty decent against Ricky because of the silence.
Yeah.
Yes.
The silence is pretty good against him. That's nice, but overall I think he's not like a very strong laner. It depends on his partner, like how they want to lane him.
He does have some tri-lane potential.
Yeah, Grimstroke is a very good tri-lane hero.
And that's target Grimstroke partner that's going to be
So
that's
far
gonna
they
come
have
out
none.
as a
So,
core. Yeah.
So far
I mean,
there's
I
nothing.
don't think you need to focus on that too much. Yeah, it's nice to have like combos, but I think Grimstroke as a support, sometimes he gives you like the stuns, the silence, and the wave clear. Those 3 things are alone itself enough to provide for the draft.
Also, let's not overthink it. One of the reasons why they might have picked this Grimstroke is because business associates have a Lich. So maybe they just stole it away. You know,
And
that's
it's
also
a little
another
deny
thing.
cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good with the Ricky.
That's all right. I think that's a good point.
Yeah, good with the Ricky in the laning stage, good with Lich later on. It could be.
Oh, this is a sick opening 3. I really feel it is. Is still criminally underrated.
She is. She's also one of the best heroes versus Enchantress later on. Gives you that high magical nuke. You don't really care about untouchable at all. So.
But I'm concerned about like the synergy between the 2 supports though. They both feel like they are supports that like to stand behind and cast spells, you know.
Stand behind.
No one is going to like try to initiate the fights.
They need to solve that with their offlaner and their mid.
They have to solve it with the offlaner.
Okay. There's
a double rupture.
Double rupture. That's
So
that's what I was
you're
waiting
happy
for.
right now?
You have to. I think what you said about Grimstroke is right, but I think that there are other heroes in the support pool that give you similar powers, and so if you're picking Grimstroke over them, that you have to have some kind of combo.
Which position 5 hero has a slow, has a stun, has a silence? Tell me which pos 5 hero does that?
I don't think this Grimstroke is gonna be 5.
Okay, it's pos 4.
It's gonna be 4,
okay.
and I think it should be your hero that goes with Mars, right? And
Yes.
no matter how you build it, if you go for the Inkswell build or you max out Stroke of Fate with a bunch of mangoes early on, you should be able to contest this Ricky. Now the only question is, will they be baited into putting Enchantress versus Ricky Lich? Because I don't think that's that great for them. Even though you can dispel
He
the
doesn't
shield,
lane well with the Mars, but he does lane well against the Lich.
Yeah.
I still think you're still talking about who's going to be with the Mars, and I still think there's a strong possibility that
Mars
they're
is
going,
mid.
that they're going to go with
It's
the 3
possible.
for their final pick. Like Darkseer is still on the table, for example.
I think you just have to pick something versus Storm, something with a catch.
Now you do. Now you do.
If you force.
No, you still have no stun, right? That's still.
Well,
You still.
Other than you have no guaranteed stun, right? Spear is kind of doesn't count.
This could be a decent Meepo game. I mean, you're playing into a Lich, but you shouldn't be.
Meepo's going to be 5th ban though, like.
For force.
Oh, you think Meepo is good against Ricky? I think Meepo is not good against Ricky.
I think before maybe he wasn't, but now when you move away from the cloud with no movement impairment, you're fine.
Yeah.
And all the roots that you have got versus him are pretty okay. Before though, he was pretty bad.
But it still could be a brood game too.
Yep.
And this is there's you can't ban both when you think about cheese, right? the obvious thing is a Meepo ban for business associates, but you can't ban both Meepo and Brood.
Yeah. I think Meepo might be better here. It gives you root versus the Storm, gives you a lot of control. The only problem is there is a Lich versus you, so...
It's fair. We have the benefit of sort of perspective here on the panel. It's easy for me to look at this and go, oh, gee, you're clicking the Meepo ban button as fast as you can, but you do forget about this in the heat of battle.
They ban out Omni Knight.
Yeah, they don't want to give it to the Storm, like Omni and Storm.
Yeah. Yeah, both sides, I think, maybe looking for the offlane.
Yeah, but the thing is, like the Willow and the Lich, these two supports are awful against the Brood. They don't do anything against him.
These two cores as well early on are pretty bad. Later on, Storm can scout her out, can jump on top of her, so that can be good for you. But
I mean, the laning will be okay against Brood, but it's just about after the Brood gets items, and he's gonna run around and your supports can't do anything against her.
All right, let's just keep it simple though. Fours absolutely have to have disable. There's the Meepo ban.
Yeah, they're gonna need like a initiating offlaner, someone that has some stuns.
Yeah.
Offlaner
or mid? I think
on
I think
business
it's still
he
open.
means
It's
maybe.
still
No,
open.
I mean business associates.
I think both sides. Yeah, business need. I mean, they could just
maybe a
pick Tide.
tank, a front line. Yes,
some Tide Hunter,
Tide
perhaps.
would be
just
nice.
pick Tide.
They love their Tide as well.
Yeah.
What else is there? StarLadder is banned out. What's another Brax hero? Perhaps a Sand King?
I mean, Underlord
But
is.
not
Oh,
really
there
great.
you go. There you
Panda, yeah. All right, bro.
Bruce great. Again, it does give you that cooldown to play around, but your other heroes are not. Your other cores are not cooldown reliant, so it's fairly easy to play around.
And
the
it
panels
does
and
give them like a kill lane right now. The Brew plus the Willow. They can actually kill the Bloodseeker lane. They have a lot of damage from the start.
All right, so moment of truth here for fours. They can go back for an offlaner, or they can pick the mid here.
I would love to see some more tempo from them, and that's
And
what they
there's
go.
the Visage!
Yeah.
All right.
They go with
Oh,
the
I love
Visage.
it.
Yeah, we called it a bit earlier, right? This is the hero that I think they have the most games on. At least the player does,
But doesn't
competitively.
he just, again, I love to see Visage in these drafts, but the question I asked is, doesn't he just get steamrolled out of the mid lane by Storm, and then Storm just roams around the map killing everything?
I think the lane can be difficult, but it's not the most horrible one for Visage. There are lanes that are much more difficult to deal with, and in this one, if you ferry yourself enough region, you won't be completely dominated.
I think it's
if you play
probably
it
going to
right.
be like I farm, you farm. Like maybe Storm will bully him slightly, but it'll be fine for the Visage.
I mean, as a Visage player, if you can trade farm, you feel
You're
really
great
good about
with
your
it.
life.
You're great with that, exactly. And Storm is definitely one of those heroes that don't necessarily like. Unless he just dominates you so hard that he gets level 6 before you're even 5, then you're done.
Well, it sounds like we've got a competitive draft here. Once again, everything on the line for these two teams in their opening series. And one more time here to tell you all about it. Toby, One, and Kyle.
You know, every time I hear Alan do a throw, I'm just thinking like the NASCAR. And it looks like here we have ourselves a start, everybody. Coming to you from the 1940s.
Really? Because I always just think about that time I went with my grandma to play church bingo. You know, B52, I think is a little more accurate.
Where's that? That was like the corny phrase. B52, B52.
Yeah. There isn't really much where to go with it. You could say, I don't know, G12. Like, this is it. We're not playing Scrabble, Toby. There's no words here.
Months of the year. You know, there was always that little catchphrase that would come
okay,
with,
you're
like
right.
with the bingo balls. You pull it out.
That's true.
Yeah.
I remember. I know what you're talking about now. There's like a rhyme. I don't have that talent.
B52, good flight history. Anyway.
Good lord, Toby.
To the game, and thank you, Alan, for the never-ending supply of interesting things we never have.
Sometimes you really remind us you have been doing this for 15, 16 years.
Oh, an old man, but not as old as Alan. Yeah, so talk about.
Hang on. Before we get into that,
before we get into the game,
I want to bring up
what else do you got?
They first 2'd Riki, and Toby's like, Kyle,
Shut up! No!
What if they went void Riki? How would you? What if like they couldn't kill either core? He's void Riki. Why didn't they just go void Riki? He says.
Hey!
Jesus.
Hey! There is logic behind it, and actually it works with the entire lineup the business associates actually went with. They're hiding assets in other places. Brewmaster splits, hard to catch him out. You got Dark Willow, she goes to the Shadow Realm. You've got damage reduction, you got Storm to ball lightning away, and you got Riki to hide in his terrible cooldown timing of 12 seconds tricks of the trade. I'm just saying, like, very, very difficult I think, to lock these heroes down
for
and
sure.
to get initiation.
And
That's the point I was going with. Meanwhile, Mr. Bloodseeker, 19, gonna have a year knocked off his life with this one, as he is definitely dead. And all the battle once again for the outpost, just like it was in Game 1, it is here in Game 3.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think about this Visage pick. I'm not sure what the concept is that they're looking to counteract, because I guess it's good in a sense against Storm because you kind of want to be initiated on and you drop birds. It's very good against Lich, and I guess Willow too because you can stun even through the Shadow Realm. But like Brewmaster loves playing against Visage, and I
think
know.
you got to look at this from a different angle, though, guys. This is one of the heroes that Gibkiy likes to play, and it may just be that exact comfort kind of zone. He just had his lone druid game. You're feeling pretty good. Put him on the Visage. See how things go. Maybe this is just one of those times where it's like you just ask around. It's like, hey, VANSKOR, you play the hero you normally play all the time, so give me mine. It's actually funny to see VANSKOR back on like an Enchantress as well.
Yeah. And Nine's doing really well in this mid lane. Storm can punish Visage really hard at level 1 if you get the creep advantage like he has now. And yeah, we'll see. The damage output of the Business Associates draft, that's what I think we got to look at, because both Riki and Storm take some time to get their DPS online, whereas forZe, to your point, you have a Visage, you have this engine, you can hit a tempo timing like 15-20 minutes and just start bowling down towers. And that was a big part of why they were able to win that last game. So
yeah,
probably going for a similar concept here.
Yeah, you just need to get some CS into that Visage as well. I think he's missed 3 range creeps in this mid lane. And as far as denies go, like, Nine's taken 4 of the melees away from him too. So it's still not a fun laning phase, no matter how you look at it for him. I want to keep my eyes as well on Brax with his Brewmaster. Like, even when he was in previous teams that got disbanded for whatever reasons, like, he always had like great itemization, was always that big solid hero you'd have playing the side lane. That's a little harassment exchange on the top. Brax is happy with this. He's going to salve up anyway.
Yeah, so far so good in the lanes for BA. We got to think of them. What's like a way to shorten them? Because Business Associates, BA, it doesn't seem right.
Yeah, BA makes me think of like British Airways.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, yeah.
I mean, I will say, I have seen, Moo, Jimmy, they both look great. Definitely been squatting. Maybe,
VANSKOR. Oh, that's so low on life, and actually with the strike. This is exactly what Winder was talking about. Having that double blink strike so early on in the game just allows Moo to chase down the heroes. There will, of course, be the rebuttal. Sphere will lose his life to BZZ. Couldn't walk away from that Mars. But yeah, we'll find something for him apart from like doing it with like the horrendously crappy Biz associates.
I mean, Biz ass?
Biz, no.
Bizazz.
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 Bizzazz with a pizzazz? I don't know. We'll come up with something.
I get back to the drawing board with this one. This is definitely not the final finished product here. Grimstroke having a little trouble up on top. Feels the pressure, hence self-ink swells. As the cinder continues to burn like a good curry.
All right. God, don't.
Hey, I tweeted out before we started today that I am in a bit of a funky mood. Don't ask me why. Just haven't been behind a mic for a while.
No comment. Top lane, they're going in on Chewy. Will tank.
You're fine. You're fine. Like it's like, oh, Kyle's now doing play-by-play.
Well, God, no comment. I'm trying to stay focused here. Top rune. Oh, Nine's gonna grab with the bottle. That's huge. That'll cement his lead here. 21-7 versus the 11-2 of the Visage.
That is definitely well worth a note, Kyle. Definitely well worth a note. Yeah, I actually don't know how like Visage is supposed to do anything in that mid lane.
Oh, Ricky.
Oh, spear. That had to be just short of the tree, and if the Hadouken connected and it was able to connect him on the tree, I think that would be one very dead move.
Indeed. It's the one downside of Riki, right? You have a lower HP pool, so yeah, you've got escape max, but that magic damage output starts to pack a powerful punch. And yeah, I gotta say though, it feels like once again BA, they had the edge in all 3 lanes, right? Not necessarily in terms of like skill matchups, but just they have the edge. The heroes are better suited.
Yep.
Especially this, I love the brew pick against the Bloodseeker.
Do you actually, goodbye Fear, do you actually look to change the lanes up? Like you're about to have Visage hit level 6.
Yep.
Is that when you move with the familiars? You try and pressure these side towers and you give someone else something in mid, or like what's the go?
You either jungle or you look to continue pressuring mid, because Storm has a very difficult time once the birds come up. You have options, right? And that's what it comes down to. Your big timing to go, though, is usually that HOD, though. Willow looking for 6 on 9. One more creep, and then maybe they look to make a move here. He does have 4 charges of Gravekeepers, though. This is a strong hero. And the shield.
Ball lightning forward. And, well, Visage able to Grave Shield, but then Sinister Gate Spear pulls him back in again. BZZ will arrive, hitting pretty damn hard with that God's Rebuke, but they've already lost. The Visage, a good spear. Perfect from BZZ. The Shadow Realm does not protect you from that control.
That was a miscue from MoOz there. I believe he missed the Bramble on a non-moving target. Not ideal, but these things do happen. Bottom lane, you see VANSKOR just pops out the tornado, so MoOz can't really lane effectively. And he's just going to freely CS. Nice rotate over mid by BZZ. They do lose the Visage. And this is the thing, if he's level 6 there, right, that is not going to be able to happen anymore. This Visage hero will not die unless a Brax Brew rotates over with that ultimate.
They get their timing just at the right moment. 6 is up, as you mentioned. Chu under a little bit of harassment and tries to Inkswell and buy himself a little bit more time. Brax playing the edge of it. The Blood Right's out as well, but the silence. Just wait a little bit more time, man. Chu still can't believe he lives for so long. He's had to sacrifice himself in order to get the kill, but that just gives something back to 19.
Radiant structures are fortified.
And pressure being applied to bottom lane by forZe. Oh man, ball lightning. That's confidence to go forward into the double stuns, but maybe they get the familiars for it.
Well, this is huge if they do.
Number 1, you can vortex it back, so you get 1.
Yeah. That's a nice job. You see that Gibkiy, he stays close, right? Because the birds get your damage reduction from the cloak if you are in range. So ensures that you can't take both, but you always want to make sure you're within 1,200 units. It's also why you don't really see people playing with the birds on other corners of the map anymore. They're just way too squishy with their 0 armor and only 500 HP once they leave the protective radius of their mama bat. Is it a bat? What is Visage?
I don't know, but it's also not really that important. VANSKOR on bottom lane. MoOz is able to pick up that kill. They get the follow-up chain stun. As MoOz and MoOz combine together to get that slow block in. Sinister Gate's going to pull him a little bit further away, but they don't really have a great amount of damage. They're not even having to go through the bulwark, but maybe now it's MoOz stays out of range. And it will be the 2 offlaners on forZe who do go down. Now ball lightning towards the mid. Go from one target to the next. Stone form. Drop comes down, but 9 able to jump himself further away. They're trying to help out the enchanters nearby, but it's just not enough life. Gibkiy takes a fall, and then VANSKOR will fall directly after him, and this is the snowball that could really be that big momentum player for BA, but they're still trying to fight. There's another TP on the way in, and that's going to be BZZ. That's one very far off arrow, spear. Don't want to downgrade his spear. And the familiar barely able to survive through it all. At least they get a courier. That's not meant to be there, MoOz.
Ruh-roh. I will say that is the right move, right? We talked about that. How are you going to deal with this Visage with the birds? Well, it's going to be Brax with the split. It's the right movement. Unfortunately, they don't get the tower. They would really like to take that out because now Gibkiy, he doesn't have to fear any longer. He can keep this tower alive indefinitely while farming these 2 camps. And if you want to make a move on him again, you need that split. And it's still a ways away now due to the cooldown. Bloodseeker got a lot of space up top, bottom, some trouble for the Mars, but he looks like he might be. Oh my god, the damage.
Yeah, it's so much. BZZ cannot survive long enough for VANSKOR to arrive, and he's always having these strikes from MoOz. He can move from one target to the next if he wants to. While ball lightning, we're going once again. Chu try to throw out the stroke and buy a little bit more space, but familiar stuns just create all the space. They do get caught inside of one of the brambles, but they're fine.
You take this. Brax split in 50. He's got the phase. They're looking to control this
Going for the
outpost.
outpost. But you got Rupture available.
He's in trouble.
Just need one target to come close enough. Brewmaster does not have the split up and running. Chu gets caught by the Bramble.
Oh.
Now the Rupture over on Moo. Not the target he thought he was going to get caught out by. He's underneath the Sentry Ward. So just tries to hide inside the tricks for the moment, but it won't matter. Still under Sentry, still under vision. And Moo will fall while inside the river. The rest of them moving over to chase MoOz.
And we got Arcane Rune up on the Storm. 9 could look to get a little aggressive here. Play a bit fancy. MoOz, as you said, he's in very much trouble. And he can't TP. Oh,
Then
wait,
again,
now he could. The Spear.
Missing strokes, missing
what
spear,
the-
missing stuns, missing a kill opportunity.
Oh, ooh, BZZ. That one is, let's just move on.
Foul ball.
I don't know. It's more of a strikeout. But, hey, splits up. And look at it, catapult wave, 9. Love to get this power. He's got the arcane. Here he goes.
Jumping in, but ball sliding straight away. Even if he does, the arena doesn't really control him, so 9 gets some freedom, and now here we go again. Once in, he'll get the shield.
Careful.
Maybe with the Terrorize, it's forcing forZe to run back behind their Tier 1 tower. And that Tier 1 tower, it is going to fall. The denial, it actually arrives from 19. But LaNm still wants his own kill. Familiar drops down. It's a good stun now. The Chain Frost bouncing around inside the Dire team. They need to be able to split themselves up right now. There's just way too much damage coming. It's allowing Brax to move forward, killing off the Visage. They got through the big boy. Now towards who? What, Bloodseeker? Maybe he's the next big target. That is exactly who Moo is focusing on. That's why 19 tried to jump away, but Moo blocks him inside the trees. The Blood Ride's out, but he just dodges it with the tricks of the trade. Mars has fallen too. He needs an extra vision. The Familiar is blind stunning, and he just jumps up so far. He's got another strike in 2 seconds. A quick slow. 19 still in vision. Another jump up, and Moo's able to get the kill.
What is the range on that?
It's bigger than you think.
If only, Toby, if only. Oh, man, they keep going for the Visage, but they get him anyway. They kill the tower. Yeah, it's denied, but the team fighting for forZe, it's not there right now. They want to hit a double Rupture combination. That's going to be big for them, but at the same time, these heroes like Storm, like Brew
nice
after the
spear.
split. Whoa.
Catching Ricky underneath the Sentry Wall. They need to hold him there so VANSKOR can do the damage. And that's why he tricks, blinks away, and he's still visible, the wall! Got him.
Ugh. And yeah, you also saw the power of that Lich ulti, right? The full 10 bounces came out in that team fight. And it's, that's a lot. There are 10 of them. 10 bounces times 250 plus an extra 15 per increment. That's, 50, whatever. It's a lot.
I'm sorry, were you about to do math?
I thought about it, but thank God I stopped myself before I got into that.
Thinking's hard. Rupture on Dark Willow, but hey, Shadow Realm TP out. It's a pretty damn good way of escaping that ultimate from Bloodseeker. That bottom tier 1 tower,
Indeed.
it is most definitely toast.
I'm not sure. Again, in BZZ, they're going to go for this rush blink on Mars, even though it's the offlaner here. I just got to feel like BA is a better read on what they want that offlaner to do. As you can see, the Vlads pick up for Brax. It's all about those auras, especially when you have a team with a Visage on it. You're going to, I guess, you know what? I take that back. You'll have damage. You have a Grimstroke. It's just getting the initiation, right? So it actually, it works here. You have the maxed out impetus on VANSKOR as well. You won't have DPS issues on this Dire team.
You know Brax, no matter what the game, he's still going to go for the auto build-up. It just depends which ones, just the way he plays.
Yep, there's the HOD as well. So finally online, a little bit later than he probably wanted. The net worth of the Visage is not really where he'd like to be, but neither is Moo on that Riki. But as we've seen, he still packs a powerful punch.
Hi VANSKOR, hi MoOz. Who really wants this? Yeah, it's going to be 9 really wants this. Ball Lightning's over, takes the kill.
That was a gift. And now regen 2.
And look at him go for it. They really want to try and fight this one. Brax just runs forward. It's like, all right, who wants a piece of this? I haven't finished up my Vlads yet, but hey, I'm ready. I love broom handles on Ricky. Take that 35 attack range for a melee only. Give him damage, give him armor, sure.
Why not?
Well, he's already able to reach you with a blink. Let's just increase that reach, make him more like a Monkey King.
9, I think, is going to be the key to this game. The Lone Druid was a lot more formidable as a counter pick. In this game, there's a limited number of stuns on forZe, and more importantly, 9 is just doing very well. He's had a ton of rune control so far this game. He's going to once again pick up the bounties here. And it's been very effective for him so far. And I'm just waiting to see where this Visage makes some moves. What creep did he go for here? He's got the troll. Okay. So going for the control, but I don't know when they're going to make that move, right? You want to take out this mid tower. You always feel bad if the enemy side has yours and you haven't taken theirs. You can even see, just looking at the map, right, how defensively this forZe lineup has to play. I'd like to see them look to get aggro here as MoOz up top is in some trouble.
He's fine. With the outpost being taken, like he's very much aware that he's been watched. But they've already managed to deep ward the sentry. Just hitting those next neutral item timings.
Yep, you've got the brew split active. And
ball
the
lightning going after 19. They got the extra control. The silence is over on the Dark Willow, however, so 19 trying to outrun this.
What?
Yeah, 9's just ruptured, so we just ball lightnings into the river, so it's totally fine.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah. Not like he'll have another opportunity instantly coming back up again to use it. While up on top lane now. Business at it again. VANSKOR completes his TP. They definitely want to grab themselves a core in the form of the Visage, but back behind the tier 2 tower.
But in base, BZZ just got his blink and he's looking to make a move. He's got the arena active. You got to be cautious here. You get too aggro on business, you get trapped in 3-man, you are in trouble.
They do have a smoke for the on the Enchantress, so if they want to get out, I suppose there's no real Observer Wards looking for him, and they've got a great dire Observer Ward. Brax, MoOz, as well as Fear. In fact, Fear's doing the dewarding for the moment, so they'll start it over on Fear. There's a heavy amount of damage. There's your blink forward. Can he actually get the arena up? Doesn't want to. Not on a Brewmaster. Rupture. Man, wish you had it right now. That actually would have been a kill over on Brewmaster. Yeah. Oh, I take back what I said before.
I mean, rupturing a storm in any case is probably a poor decision, especially if you are about to die. But this was my big criticism for him in that last game as well, where 19 had just issues over-utilizing his resources, right? He's got BKB, and Aegis pops BKB just before he dies. These sorts of miscues hurt you in ways like we just witnessed. I don't have Rupture, thus we miss a critical kill on a core. Or maybe you force the split, and then, oh, we can walk into Roche. You know, these little things do start to add up because you remove opportunities from your squad to make the best of enemy openings. Aquila now onto MoOz. That's one of the better items for the Riki.
You've got a 3-man smoke up. They're looking to try and lock the Riki inside the arena. Just dust him. The tricks only last for 2 seconds. You won't dispel the dust either, so he'll come back out and you'll definitely see him. But unable to find the target they're looking for, but they see sentry on sentry. No information is given from this. Maybe you send a bird over there to get rid of it. But there is a Radiant Observe Ward just further to the north. It's going to time out in 10 seconds time. So a lot of information was already given. They're using the sentry as bait. Blink, spear, one very dead lich. That definitely seemed way too good.
Fear might need to pay a little more attention to his gamer tag as he consistently wanders into the enemy jungle with courage.
Storm is so low. 9. He was chasing him down into the river, and now they just root. They control. BZZ will get the ulti out. He's going to get a heavy amount of damage in towards MoOz. And with some extra help arriving from Chu, they'll get the follow-up silence. Trying to break free. Brax does have the split available, and will actually end up triggering it as well. But 9 still ready to try and find BZZ. What do you want to even do here? Well, you can die. That's all you can really do. But a Eul Scepter, Enchantress, snubbed towards the end. Not the Eul Scepter, sorry, the Storm Cyclone. They'll kill off Chu back behind the tier 2 tower, then move over towards VANSKOR. Just one to the next. And 4 heroes from forZe do fall.
Again, 19 overextends, gets punished. His team tries to help, they die too. Again, 9, rune control, that regen paying off and helping them find a hell of a lot of bonus kills. Suddenly a 3k gold lead. And
9 was baiting him pretty hard though. Like, he was walking around on 300 HP. He's like, I am so low. If you can silence me, you're gonna kill me.
Will they have the stun in time? Yes, they will. This is the power of Bloodseeker Visage, right? You have so much control from the Visage, the damage from the Bloodseeker.
Yeah. Something back. Hey, look at that, Kyle. You can look at the bright side as well.
I am an optimist.
It's... oh, let's see this moment again. So that's That's 19 getting wrecked inside the river. Definitely was some hard work from BZZ, and maybe if they killed off Brax here, it would have been good, but there's just not enough damage.
And also, look at the positioning, right? Where's the rest of the team? You're just asking to get caught here. You know that you have to kill him pre-split, and he had a 11 stick on top. Just trying to make something out of nothing there. There is no brew, though, which means no split, which means no team fight. So BA, it's finally time to let them clear out that mid tower. Outposts are going to be split.
Well, they smoke underneath the Observer and Sentry. 9 just jumped himself forward away from the Dire Ob. So Dire actually have their own ward inside that Radiant Northern jungle. With so much information, Business Associates just move in towards the trees. They start preparing the remnants.
On a Nether Shawl on the Storm. It's so good for 9 here.
They're not going to get their target. And thanks to that Dire Observer ward, they've already seen the reinforcements of BA coming towards the north, so quickly
Yep.
forZe move to the bottom lane.
Surprise! I have not seen many Manta rushes on Riki. It could just be a change that I haven't been paying attention to, but if you get backstab damage from the illusions as you land stuns, like you just absolutely obliterate this Visage, this Bloodseeker. It's all about finding the control for BA. And it looks like it'll be an Ags rush as well on the Storm Spirit right after the Bloodstone. I like this. I'm glad to see more Storms starting to do it, because that AoE control, especially in a game against Visage, like HOD creeps, like it's just so much lockdown. And then all of a sudden the rest of your team just drops everything. The Lich ulti, the Brew split, set it in.
Yeah. Just kind of like it from the Riki just with the Manta, like how they meant to silence, how they meant to control him.
That's
like,
a good point.
He'll just break free, and Bloodseeker's control, like it's already having a hard enough time against the Storm Spirit because it's useless. And against the Riki, he's just like, well, I'll just stay inside the Trickster as long as I possibly can. Obviously, the cooldown time is a little longer. But BKB's almost done for the Visage.
It's going to be a big item. I don't know if I'm a believer in a BKB rushing Visage, however. Typically you see this hero go for, auras, minus armor, like solar crests. You're already kind of tanky enough, right? That's the idea of the cloak. And with that BKB immunity, sure, it's nice. You can ignore the
like what, the Chain
the
Frost?
brew, yeah, but
The brew control.
I'm not a fan, but I've been proven wrong many times in the past.
Yes. When it comes to learning lessons, Kyle, you are definitely up there.
And it's just a question of whether this is the time. It appears it might be. They have the smoke ready.
Well, the outpost has been taken by Storm under the cover of smoke, so I think they realize this is not the fight they're looking for. And Bloodseeker's trying to finish his own BKB, and he just did that, taking the farm on bottom lane. But you're seeing BA, they understand as well, like they're just going to go in towards Roshan. Nice Enchantress creep waiting around. So the Centaur Conqueror was in there, so what does forZe do instantly? 5-man smoke up, BKBs are up. This is when they want to try and fight. But BA have everything they need as well. Observers and Sentries are available, Brewmaster Split is up, Chain Frost is up, everything is up. They're all fakes, no one's attacking the fakes. Now that's the real Riki. They have to blink, jump forward, able to get the stun. That's a huge one over on the Brewmaster. Still waiting for that Arena of Blood to arrive. Brewmaster going to get the split off in time to keep the silence going just long enough. Grimstroke will lose his life for it, but that's definitely worth it. But the Brewmaster has that buyback available. He'll come back in the fight as quick as he can, thanks to the tier 2 tower. Riki getting caught over on the tree lines. BZZ trying to finish the job, and he is able to do that. Buyback also available for the Riki, while Storm 9 trying to finish off 19 at the moment. It's a battle of the numbers inside the river. He's able to move away from the Bramble, but now finally it will be the kill. But Visage, he can't kill off 9, or can he stun him? No! The Familiar did not have the Stone Form available. Back into the other side of the battle. VANSKOR down to Brax. And you will get BZZ able to TP away just in time. Buyback was expended from the Brewmaster and the Grimstroke to stay up for this.
Yep. The thing is, it's the Storm that's going to become more and more of a nuisance to this Dire squad. To your point, Toby, good initiation. They got the target they had to. If that Brew split comes off, your supports are no longer able to really play Dota. The BKBs helping to secure that kill. It's the durations that I'm worried about now, because it's the first charge. You're going to have to do that fight again if anyone wants to actually get the Roshan, and the concern is just late game control for this Storm Spirit. It's going to get harder and harder to take out 9, and he continues to grab these runes. Another super strong one in the bottle, that Arcane. To have an Ags complete with this bottled up, that next 5-on-5 engage could provide a huge edge for the BA squad.
They just need to buy him the space, the time. The familiars will check Roshan, realize he's back to full health. Nothing to be had there. Even the Inkswell was ready to get that quick jump. And I do like the way they combo Inkswell onto Mars. Just let him jump in closer. Then he can time his Spear of Mars to get the second stun. I thought the Arena of Blood would have come down a lot earlier at the beginning of that fight, but they decided to hold it anyway. But new items are arriving, so Telescope. I think Bloodseeker will end up holding onto that one, but Khezcute also arriving. Aghanim Scepter is done. They need their target, and they got him perfectly. Trying to take the outpost, the Aghanim's Vortex, it's your new electric black hole, and they'll go for the other one. Feared up Mars, unable to run away. Locked inside the smoke too. It's a bad habit, and this will open up BA to go for Roshan. Kill off the golem, kills off the golems, and off you go.
Enrique does so much damage. Somebody's there to tank, smacking him from the back. Really well played there by Business Associates. And you can just see 9, 22 charges on the Bloodstone. He is feeling himself. And anytime you get a 2-hero pull with your squad behind you, those 2 heroes are almost certainly going to go down.
So much extra information too. Observe Ward was already watching it, so it wasn't even just seeing the 2 heroes. They knew no one else was standing behind them, and they stood on top of each other. No way they could have known about the Aghanim Scepter, that it was completed at least. We knew it was coming because he was showing some pieces of it. But definitely catching forZe by surprise.
And again, a regen rune, man. Like this guy, this guy.
Well, they do control the river.
It's a huge lead, and you do have the beginning. You got the Titan Sliver. Like I'm looking at the Bloodseeker's items. I'm looking at the Visage. I'm like, yeah, they're getting progress, but I don't know about this. Like now we got phase boots on Visage with the clumsy net. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm selling this. I am selling this faster than Crypto in 2018.
I'm liking the Abyssal approach from 19 at least, but he needs more time to finish the job. And then at least they have something that might be able to lock down this Storm Spirit. But he's got a second life now. Having the Aegis Immortal up their sleeve. They're ready to fight. New items also arriving. Paladin Sword. I think Moon might be putting his hands out for that one.
Nice. Got the Diffusal up too. So all of a sudden, Grimstroke, Enchantress, effectively immediately feed if he hops on them and they don't notice for a second or two. What do I go for next? Maybe that Battlefield? I think just a BKB at this point. Mindbreaker, oh god, that's like the Riki item. Oh man. Orb of Destruction too. Jeez, how do you choose, Moo? Those are the two. Yeah, it looks like he's going to go for the Orb of Destruction. Like the only item you'd possibly pick up over Mindbreaker here is that Orb, and that's just incredible. A budget Scotty for free on a hero that has Manta Diffusal already.
Why not?
It's like budget Deso and Scotty.
They actually got like the perfect items they need. Like you got Craggy, so killing off Brax is even harder, because you just can't get through him. He said the orb over on Moon, that is what he chose to go for. And you've still got 9 holding onto his Nether Shore. He doesn't want to give up that tier 2 item just yet.
Also, I just said the Orb of Destruction applies Impending Corruption. Is that really like the best name we could come up with?
What, impending?
Impeding Corruption.
Impeding. I was about to say, because if it was impending, it couldn't apply to it because it hasn't arrived yet.
I guess it's actually accurate. Impede to retard movement or progress by means of obstacles or hindrances. So the corruption aspect would be the minus armor, and the impeding is of course the slow. Okay, you know what? I take that back. Valve developer, you can fist bump in safety. It's a good name.
Yeah, I'm sure they needed your approval.
They don't, but I'm gonna give it to them anyway.
Uh-huh.
Hey man, why do you think film critics exist?
For their own self-worth.
Guilty. Mid lane?
Let me just do a food review. Yeah, VANSKOR being attacked. Quickly one charges himself up. They dust up and they look for the Ricky, but I hate to tell you, but MoOz already jumped himself away, so now no dust available. The arena is going to be good. They need the silence. It's a good pushback with the spear. Keep trying to keep Brax up the side. The forZe creates a little bit more space. Where's that Brewmaster split to arrive? And he won't get it off in time. The Chain Frost will start doing his work, but both BKB and Pipe adding that extra protection, but Nine still wants a little bit more. But who's the target they've really got? They don't have the players anymore. Moo and MoOz both down. Peter tries to complete his TP out, but the stun's available from BZZ. And now it's the business associates who are regretting their investment into that play.
And you look at the net worths, you can kind of get a feel for why that fight went the way of forZe, right? Yeah, sure, 9 is huge, but you look at these 3 cores on forZe, they still pack a punch, and Brax has fallen off the charts, right? 3K behind this Mars now. If Moo gets taken out, still very squishy with only 1700 HP, the damage disappears, and the rest of the team is soon to follow. The team fight from forZe is still incredibly powerful, especially during the duration of the BKBs, and this is exactly what you want. You go for the brew, he does not get the ultimate off, and that just changes this entire makeup. Moo is in, but again, just squishy hero. He's going to pop out and immediately just go down. Really nice bird stuns and blood rights throughout that engage.
So how do you actually like fix that damage output? Like we were actually discussing even Storm builds before we even started today, and how it's on like the Kaya Bloodstone kind of approach. Like, does he still pack enough? Is there an item that's able to push him a little bit further? Because he's going Shiva's Guard as the next item, which still feels a little defensive and team fight control.
Yeah, but it's by far the best item here just because of how it affects Visage Birds. Because their base attack time is so low, attack speed slow is super effective. In addition, it'll help you to just provide vision and just in general slow down damage out. But it's the only way you can, I mean, it's either that or AC, right? It's the only way to keep your teammates alive because Storm isn't really going to be the target. They don't have the control.
Nice target. 19. Send him up and towards the air. Cursed Crown going to combine, but he'll just BKB and TP out. And Moo doesn't do enough damage and doesn't have a basher. So no way to interrupt through that immunity. And maybe that is the other side of things. Like, well, okay, well, this does work well, like with the what Nine brings, but then there's more pressure on Moo to find these items, to find this farm. So he starts packing a punch. He starts delivering in fights.
I mean, the Scotty is definitely big. They will outscale. That's the thing. This BA team doesn't have to fear the late game that much, especially considering, you know, these BKB durations getting lower and lower. 7 seconds on the Bloodseeker, 8 seconds on the Visage. And it looks like Hex will be the choice for Gibkiy, but that makes sense, right? You got a Grimstroke. Why not? Double Hex? I like double kill. Another regen for the Storm.
It's like another smoke as well for the Dire. They grouped up like they wanted to, but I'm not seeing anything.
Not a surprise.
Yeah, there's a smoke on Grimstroke. Okay.
Now Wolf Creep is up. I like to see it. So much damage. Very relevant. You're playing.
It's scouting. That Wolf Creep is down. It just got killed by Brax.
Damn it. I cursed. Poor cuddly little wolf.
Well, technically that was just the control. Like, almost VANSKOR sending it to scout and die.
I hate to see it. New birds summoned by Visage. Why? Oh, I guess he just never resummoned when he got level 18. Interesting. Well, either way, the game pace is slowed down a bit. Roshan may spawn in a minute, guaranteed in 4. Neither team really able to make a definitive movement because you both have just too much to fear, right? Storm catches someone alone, they're dead. Whereas if forZe finds somebody, pop the spears, arena, BKBs, that guy's dead. And we can expect it to slow down until that Roche becomes an objective. I think that the sheep for Visage, that's going to be complete in just a moment. That could be, you know, a window for forZe to go look and get aggressive. And I don't really see anything that's special upcoming for BA. It will be the Orchid choice for 9, so you were asking for a little bit of control. There it is.
Yeah, that's what I was always wondering. Like, but the Orchids, like traditionally on the Storm Spirit, is that first item you get to continue a snowball momentum. So I'm wondering, like, with the at least like now you've got like Bloodthorn options. Like, is Bloodthorn late game a good controller? Does he look actually just for the backline? Does he look for Chu? We were talking about like the need to for Storm to kill off Ancient Apparition in the earlier game. Is this now his next new target? There's now perfect pulling forward. They've got the Dark Willow under control for the moment, and they're just spilling all the damage into the Shadow Realm area. But it's up in the air, down he comes, and MoOz at least tries to make him work for it, but they worked. They got it.
Yep.
It's the laborers versus the businessmen.
I will say, I love the 19 item build here. You know, Mjolnir, BKB got the backer. Now going for a butterfly. No one really able to buy the MKB on this Radiant side. It's not an item BKB likes until, unless he's forced to. Now there's the Visage power, right? Just melting down that tier 2.
Ricky's trying to push back himself to the tier 2 tower on bottom.
Once again, the edge for forZe this game is the significant building pressure advantage they have. Riki, no matter how farmed you get, same with Storm, building damage isn't really in the cards for you. And 9, like this, he's just going to cut that mid-wave. Doesn't get the bounties, though. Would have liked to see him take those out first.
You also can't cut it fully. It's a double catapult wave.
No. And I'm surprised that Brax, I know he loves this pipe item. I would have really liked to see the BKB after the Vlad instead. It feels like the only fights his team's been losing are the ones where he just gets 100 to 0 in the duration of a few stunts.
9's going out again.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Wants to get those bounty runes he didn't get before. They still exist.
Radiant's top tower is
Nine.
Quite
No
a
TP.
confident walk forward from business associates. Just like, all right, yeah, well, I guess they're all up on top.
Yeah, they're playing around their Storm. Who will be going for the BKB. 9's going to be able to purchase it right now if he'd like it. Be interesting to see what he looks to go for. He doesn't have TP though. She's got to be a little cautious here. And Roshan, luckily not spawned yet. 1 minute to go. Otherwise, this Radiant squad would be very out of position.
Yeah.
Moo once again saving for buyback, as is Brax, as is Fear, as is the Storm. So you got to be very cautious as far as that. You blow all your BKBs and your big cooldowns, maybe you kill the Storm. That buyback could be just as devastating as, say, a Spectre in the late game, and all of a sudden you're going to lose 3, lose 4 on the turnaround. And Roshan is an objective.
They are waiting so long for that objective too. Like, they could cut the mid, they could take the top, but the bottom lane, because it's pressured in so far with the double, and now, yeah, Brax overstays his welcome. He could potentially just try and split himself out this one. The Hex is up from Gibkiy, and the silence control. Everyone has arrived at the right time. Brax is down. They brought that tower to 2/3 of its HP. Meanwhile, in mid lane, Riki looking for his own little play up against 19. But, well, he's having some trouble. He's ruptured. Now the smoke screen, silenced as well. And they're going to get themselves another kill. This core has no buyback available. And Roshan's got a hell of a lot safer because he's spawning right now.
These no BKB strategy for BA is not working out so well for them as they lose 2 cores to effectively just, I don't know, like almost laziness. They're just getting caught out straight up. And they're going to lose the Rosh now too. MoOz will do his best to cut this bottom creep wave, but it's going to be an Aegis on your Bloodseeker. He has the Abyssal finish, didn't go for the Butterfly. Don't mind this because you don't really want a slot since you need to be able to pick up that Aegis. Plus, you're killing stuff, right? Now you get that extra lockdown. It's not the damage or survivability that you're lacking. It's just that ability to kill a Riki, to kill the Storm, get that Rupture off like he did middle. And yeah, you got Hex too. Like the controls here, it's time to go if you're forZe.
Yep. This is exactly the window they wanted. You don't need much of an advantage when it comes to golden experience, but you'll take what you got. But can they break the base? Can BA get some level of defense up and running? I'm still looking at Storm Spirit as well as Dark Willow playing around on the bottom lane, just trying to add that little extra pressure just to look for a trade-off. Like that's all that really creates. It just creates a trade.
Here we go. The march high ground begins, Toby.
Smoke screen's down. A little bit of ranged chip onto the Bloodseeker. Keep the silence going, and Storm Spirit straight in and out. That's a lot of Ren. Must do some pop damage. Not to mention that Vortex control. But he needs more mana. Meanwhile, on bottom lane, the creep wave pushing in. MoOz has taken the tier 3 tower on bottom lane. And this is where forZe are like, this is the question, can they break the base? What's the trade-off going to be like? They're probably going to lose, yep, they lose the Familiar too. No resummon available. This is not the game of trades they wanted to have, but they can look for the fight now. Under the Sentry Ward, they see MoOz very clearly. The wall is up perfectly from BZZ, but Brax gets a split off. Couldn't get the control. 9 will die in the back lines, but now MoOz, Elder actually blink strike himself outside of the arena. Brax needs to get the hell out of here. That
Ruptured.
Soulbind not really stopping the move back. Quick little jump into the tricks of trade. MoOz under the tier 4 towers. Here comes 9 once again. In for the electrical vortex. 19 losing his life so quickly. Just one ball lightning up. The other, they'll break the Aegis, the Immortal. BZZ, he's caught on the wrong side of the high ground. And now the BKB 19, he waited at least for the Aegis Immortal timeout. And that will protect him long enough to complete his TP away to safety. But the high ground remains intact for Business Associates.
Yeah, that's the key. And I'm surprised if he had that Lincoln's up. He didn't buy the Lincoln's on the Storm. That's the reason he goes down there. Really nice play, though, from the Grimstroke, just to hide out and catch him with that silence to set up that sequence. You only lose 2 for 2 buybacks. You take that all day if you're forZe, especially because now the win condition's live. Kill Storm, you might just straight up win the game.
And you see, like, he's like, all right, well, screw any kind of buyback. It's on cooldown anyway. Just buy up the Lincoln Sphere, get that last bit of money. Just get into the back lines. Business will take the tier 2 tower in the mid lane. MoOz still dead for 30 seconds without buyback available. forZe have some really good wave clear, however. Through both Blood Right as well as the Stroke, they can just destroy any creep wave that comes their way.
But you gotta be careful. Always the threat of 9 somewhere on the map. And the boots of Shachlo picked up. Don't you just give those to Storm?
Is he witless?
Witless Shachlo, yeah. They look, it's a boot.
It is definitely a boot. I cannot disagree with this. Actually, is it one boot or is it boots? Is it plural?
It's just one, I guess. Oh, it's a hat. Oh, it's a hat. It's not a boot, it's a hat. And there you go.
Yeah, it is a hat.
Anyway,
It's got a little feather in it. Of course it's a hat. It's got a feather in it.
another leveler.
And now a Minotaur Horn. That's a nice thing. That's a very, very nice thing
Thank
for Brax
God.
to have. But then
Finally.
again, wait, no. He doesn't want it. He's like,
Okay.
no, Craggy is still better.
Yeah, and
so he'll
I've
give
also
it, he'll
got
give
a
it to the
BKB, so
yeah, give it to the Storm.
I actually love that. That's huge because now your Storm, you don't really need a BKB in this game, but the fact that now he can break the silence and just get himself out is huge.
So he gets that, and he actually turned off his BKB. He's going back for that Blood
Yeah,
Form.
it straight up changes this game. It's also a 20 strength boost, right? Straight up raw health is never bad for a Storm.
Well, the leveler has arrived. It's in the hands of Visage, though. I don't think he actually wanted it. I think he sent it back.
See, they killed the Arcane Rune up top there. So sick of 9. These runes. DD on the Bloodseeker has the Mjolnir. Leveler in the backpack just in case they get into the base. And there's that wolf I was waiting for Gibkiy.
I really do like actually like Havoc Hammer working with BZZ
Are scanned.
on MoOz. Get the knockback. I want to see some cool wall plays, please.
That's a good point. I've never seen a Mars with Havoc Hammer. This might get interesting. Top lane.
We have the Magic Lamp. Robert and hope for something else for Enchantress.
You gotta be careful. Chu is not mid, remember. It's a potential 5-on-4 scenario. They know where Dire is. They're gonna smoke up, but look at this. You've got wards behind you, and they might get caught in the center of a trap here. As you see Brax, he's got a BKB now and a gem, so he's indestructible. Nope, he'll TP out. Thought they might look to get frisky here, but with 2 heroes in base and no buybacks, right? You don't want to make any sort of critical error.
Dire's top tower.
And
This is exactly what you want. You want them chasing around the map looking for a new target. Like, okay, no Aegis Immortal. You still got the cheese that will last forever until consumed. Just wait out the time. Roshan may respawn in 2.5 minutes. Accept the status quo.
MoOz gonna have his BKB. He needed one desperately. He might be saving for buyback though. I really hope he just picks it up because there's sometimes I'd agree you want the buyback, but in this kind of game, just have the items. You're gonna need to win that initial fight. Buying back, they're gonna have enough catch now. It was different before, but now with the Hex up on the Visage, just all these items, these levels, you're not gonna win a fight if your Brew ult is down. But hey, anything could happen, right?
That is how late game Dota works, Kyle.
Hashtag never give up. AC soon to be complete on Visage. What's so funny, Toby?
I just made me think of like after our conversation in game 1 where I tweeted out, it's just like, yeah, it's never over. And people are just like, well, Dota's over. What?
You know that it isn't. It's never over till it's over, as Yogi Berra would say.
Really?
Yeah,
Yogi said that?
Yeah, Yogi said a lot of them. One of my favorites is, nobody goes there anymore, it's too crowded. Which is, like, true.
It's like a Yellowstone kind of quote, like that's...
Yeah, he's brilliant. Anyway.
Of all people to quote, it's like, you know what, Kyle, he's pulled out philosophers here and there, but now Yogi Bear.
No, Yogi Berra.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, like, that was a very philosophical bear.
Oh my God, Toby. Oh, I can't even talk to you anymore, and it's my job. God damn. Hey, but we got a fight coming mid. They're going for the tier 3 here. Blip force. Tag in.
Bloodride just tries to create a little extra space. Thanks for the bump. Now the WWE. Storm Spirit straight through the middle of everything. And TB's all the way home. No way to control or catch. And once again, though, these familiars has to resummon before a fight's even going to begin. The talent is pretty low. They won't need to deny it. It will be the first tier 3 tower to fall.
Good, look at these auras. Just look at the birds, right? Pipe, Cloak, Vlad's, AC, Helmdom, Wolf. Oof. This is go time.
Go again, BZZ. Oh, the BKB. Brax gets stopped just in time, doesn't get hit by the spear, but 9! It's a 3-man Vortex in the back line and the 2-man Terrorize. VANSKOR is still going to be free, but Ricky, not a healthy man, low on life, he got ruptured up, that's why he's having a hard time surviving through this, trying to hide himself inside the tricks of the trade, but another jump forward. It'll be 19 who gets the kill with the Bloodride. Buyback now going to come in from the Ricky Maru. But have they got enough power? MoOz just moving back. Storm Spirit, Vortex forward. Another 3-man here, get a catapult to work with. But 9, he gets stunned up. They were ready for him. 19 was there, waiting for him to move back, able to get that big hit stun out. And now it's going to be Storm Spirit dead for 2 minutes. They have broken the back of the business associates. Someone get these guys a BC. They need a last round. Are they done yet, though? You've got a 2-minute window. You definitely want a second lane of racks here.
This is leveler swapped in, and it's go time. Man, with no Storm, how do you defend this? No split. Moo, he saved for the buyback there instead of purchasing the BKB. Now he's respawned, sure, but without a BKB, how do you actually engage? How do you deal damage as this Riki? That's 2 racks. Yep. Might even be more. They know he's got no buyback, 90 more seconds.
He would have bought back by now if he had it. And again, maybe not. The Brewmaster split with it being down. Maybe you don't feel like there is a fight to be had. That BKB is now, as you said, like it's over on Moo. They're looking for their target. VANSKOR slightly isolated on the side. They can't initiate. They have to let Megas come up and then look for the last Hallelujah fight. VANSKOR, he's baiting. He's still got the cheese, remember. This is going to be so hard to get through in BZT. A perfect arena. Whoops! Well, Fear goes all the way back into base where he's not safe. He'll still end up going down, and that's the game. 4 heroes will die. 19 is hunting them inside their own fountain. It's a beautiful vortex. Maybe there is a little bit more. 9, what have you got? He's got a kill over on 19. But they need to get a little bit more than this. Tier 4 Towers will help them with a fight. Limmp will buy back. It really ain't over until it's over. VANSKOR, there goes the cheese. They'll finally break through it. The Chain Frost bouncing back up. It's going to stick with the VANSKOR. 9, he needs the extra control underneath the Tier 4 Towers. Keep VANSKOR up. Just keep bouncing around, keeping the mana going. In fact, you'll actually go into the Brewmaster split. There's just stun control to try and keep the VANSKOR under wraps. He tries to actually just give himself away. The Flicker does not go the way he wanted to. Stay inside the base. So Megas are up, but Dire have retreated for the moment. They held tight. Storm got his buyback, Lich got their buyback, and they at least keep the Tier 4 Towers intact. But I don't know how much longer they can hold on.
Neither do I, Tubbs. And man, it's just rough. It feels like you don't have damage any longer, right? forZe, it comes to me it's about the auras, right? You have an AC advantage. You have the Abyssal advantage. The BKBs are up first. And yeah, you're taking an engagement. It is 45+ minutes into the game. Your hard carry Riki doesn't have a BKB as the enemy team walks up the high ground. That's not going to go well for you.
Can they do Roshan quickly? I suppose like you still got buybacks over on forZe, so they can just buy back and contest you for Roshan. But it feels like BA do need something insane. And there is an Aghanim Scepter upgrade.
Yep.
Sitting on that.
You also got to wonder if perhaps if there was a game for a Battle Fury Riki, an item that I've like not really understood. This would be it, right? Like all the birds around, he's consistently getting tricks to the trade on like 15 things. There just isn't any damage output coming in.
Brax had to burn his BKB once again. These birds are just watching Roshan, so they're sitting in the nice little courier hole from before. Bloodseeker will move in as well. Watch 9 scrambling the defense. Just inside of his own fountain. At least he had regeneration there.
Yeah. I think that second bird got the stun off. I don't think he expected the first one to land, right? But might even be able to kill him there. That would have just straight up ended the game. But they're going to look to do that here at this Roche pick. You got to fight this if you're BA, but it's a lot easier said than done.
I like how they got the health increase too. You'll take it. Granite Golem working together. Here's a couple of fake rookies. Visage the only one inside the pit. Roshan on 2/3 of his HP. BA can't stay out here too long though. They know the Megas will push in on them, and in fact, it looks like forZe want to try and fight. They smoke up themselves. Look for that Blink Arena. Bramble is down. Visage caught inside the smoke. There's your first stun out over on the Brewmaster. Once again, the BKB going to work. A great Vortex and the Arena. Everything together. Terrorize tries to create a little bit of extra space, but have they got enough damage to really get through this? The Storm's down to half of his life, while Ricky controlled on the outside. MoOz already gone down. He was their primary source of damage. Maybe the Chain Frost can now do something. It's going to be a full bounce. They're not moving away as 9 drags them. Everybody back in again with another Vortex. But he's got no mana. He's bone dry. And 9 will die inside the River of Thirst.
The base as well, Toby. These tier
GG.
4s.
That's it. They can't defend this. They really can't defend this. They'll call it.
Man, that is a hell of a performance. After that first game, I had already written them off. I was like, ah, there's no way. Like,
and a greatest region all over again after game 1. But hey, game 2, game 3. Feel that whiplash.
This is the story of the scene. It reminds me of my playing career. We were thinking about it.
Can we have a story that doesn't include your playing career, please, Kyle?
We were like 10-1 in game 1 and like 0-11 in game 2. And alas, BA having similar issues. Business Associates. It's time to go back to the boardroom, pull up the whiteboard, order some sandwiches, and figure out what went wrong here.
We went to IPO too soon. And, well, forZe, this is what I like about the CIS teams. You give them something, and the Visage pickup, you find that comfort zone. You find what they want to do. And it wasn't the old classic CIS, like we just need to keep fighting and fighting to get our momentum back. They still were calculated with what they want. They itemized. It felt like a lot better here in game 3 as well, and everything just started to click a bit better. They just needed that opportunity, catching 9 in the back lines during that mid lane fight as well. Things like this, they just slowed down the momentum of the Storm Spirit.
In this squad, you can see there were some nerves, right? 19 made a lot of unforced errors. And if they can just clean up this, right? Just don't give away freebies to your enemy side. This team doesn't look half bad. And, you know, Jimmy, he said that they were working hard. They were boot camping. We worked. But you don't want to look like we work. At the end of the day, you want to have a more successful launch here at your opportunity to qualify to the major.
Yes, but there's a big investment behind that company, and they can always kick back, and that's what the opportunity is for the next round. But of course, it will be elimination round is where they are headed. It is rough, to say the least, for Business Associates, but it's fantastic for forZe, putting up a potential upset for some people's mindsets. But either way, it's a great series victory.
Our first best of 3 of the event goes the distance as forZe, man, they looked rough in game 1, but the Business Associates stock comes crashing back to earth in game 2 and 3, and the CIS squad, who surprised some people with their second place finish in the qualifiers to earn a spot at this event, does come out victorious in that opening series. I'm going to turn to my panel now in Lizard and Winter once again. Guys, I don't want to mince words here. What went wrong? Because that game, like game 2, looked like it was going to be in the bag early on.
I think in that second game, they really threw hard with that first tier 1 fight, and then after all, everything fell apart. I think for Business Associates, I've seen something very similar in the qualifiers too. Like versus Chaos, when they lost 0-2, it didn't look like they were losing those games, but then suddenly just a couple of mistakes in quick succession, and they lose control of the game. In this particular match though, I don't know if it's only about the heroes, but it's the itemization as well. You go for these agonyms on Storm Spirit. You jump in, you pull them all in together into Dark Willow's Terrorize. That's pretty much 2 spells that you have just used that have no follow-up. There's no damage afterwards. There's perhaps Lich's ulti or Ricky, but they're always either silenced or whatever. And Panda, man, Brewmaster, Brax had a rough match. Like, he had a really rough game. While BZZ, his mirror match on the other side, the position 3 on the side of forZe, he was constantly on fire. He was constantly jumping in, spearing that panda into the wall, and then they follow up with either the silence from the Bloodseeker or Grimstroke Sync spell. Everything came into place for forZe, and it looked like they had the damage, which is like, strangely enough, really important in these team fights.
Yeah, and you look at the mid-game power spikes, so much of what you're trying to play around as you consider the draft and as you consider your execution, your two big mid-game item power spikes on the side of Business Associates were the Ags on Storm and the Scotty on Riki. And those aren't damage items, they aren't survivability items. I guess the Scotty tanks you up, but on Riki, if you're silenced, you're still going to die anyway.
Scotty is not a power spike for Riki.
All right, fair enough. That's
because
exactly right.
he needed BKB. Like, he couldn't do anything at all without BKB.
Well, we said that in the last game too, though, right?
Yeah, when you mentioned about the Storm Axe and the Terrorize not doing anything, partly it was also because the Riki couldn't dish out damage during disable time because he has no BKB. Like, when you're playing against Grimstroke and you don't have BKB, you're either going to get stunned or silenced or soulbind, and you can't do anything as Riki.
There's so many disables, right? It's first and foremost the leash from the soulbind. Then there's I believe there was a Hex later on Visage. You have multiple stuns coming from birds. You have the arena. You have like the AoE silence from the Bloodseeker. Literally what Winter just said. They do this combo well. Riki jumps into an instant silence from the Bloodseeker, and then he's just dead.
And you saw from the Storm too. The Storm had a couple of perfect initiations on the dire side of the map where he just instantly got stunned. So yes, you're playing against fewer stuns in some of these lineups, but you also have to recognize there are certain heroes where being silenced is as bad as being stunned, and Storm is definitely one of them.
I mean, I think their team, they don't really understand how to use items very well, like with their timing and what hero needs to buy. Certain items to be strong, or sometimes they are buying the correct item, but they are not waiting for the item to fight.
Yeah, like the BKB, right?
Yeah,
in that last game.
They are a team where I feel like laning is quite their strong suit. Then after the laning phase, they sometimes can make good decisions about where to fight and when to fight, but the other half of it is like making very bad decisions of when to fight and where to fight. Like, to improve, I think, this part of the game, they have to sometimes watch the replay together. Or actually, most of the times you have to watch the replay together and understand what item do we need as a team as a whole. You know, it's not about one person. Oh, I got this item, I'm ready to fight, but someone else might not be ready to fight. And because that one person is ready to fight and he's calling, sometimes you're calling your team to come because you are strong, but you are not understanding that someone else is not strong because he hasn't reached his timing.
I really think what you're just saying all comes down to being overconfident. After that first game and the second game's laning stage, I think they felt too confident in their capabilities and they disrespected perhaps forZe a little bit. That's why you get these situations in which you have players fighting without BKB finished or fighting without their teammate being ready because they're like, yeah, let's go in, let's get him. Boys, we got him, you know, it's easy. That's pretty much the mindset. That's how you should look about it because these are accomplished players. They do have history behind them and they do watch replays. They do know what they're supposed to be doing. It's just that they got a little bit ahead of themselves, I think, at least.
So to simplify, it's mostly a disciplinary problem.
Yeah, disciplinary problem, definitely.
It's hard to find anything else when you're looking at, I mean, you talk about Game 2's laning phase, but Game 3 went really well in the lane. Storm destroyed the Visage. Riki had an early kill and had decent CS total in the bottom lane, and that just never translated into any momentum.
Literally what I said might happen on the mid lane happened.
Yeah.
Like worst case scenario for Visage, he was level 4 when Storm was about to hit 6, which means Storm can just dominate him and shove him away from the experience range completely. It was, I don't know, it was just such a rough start for forZe and they still came back.
Yeah, but enough about talking about what they did wrong, you know, on Business Associates.
Yeah, forZe did a lot of things
We
right
can
in
look
that
at
game.
what forZe did well. I feel like one of the key things is to give Gibkiy a micro hero. I feel like he excels.
A building damage hero.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
that was the thing in both games 2 and 3. He was on a hero that could farm and eat towers.
Objectives and micro heroes, right?
yeah.
These Visages, these lone druids.
Those are the kinds of heroes that I think they have to prioritize in picking him. Maybe even try to pick certain heroes early just for him. Like example, the lone druid. Because I feel like he's the person that would decide whether they can win. He's the win condition player. And he's not a player that needs to wait for the last few picks. He can be, but sometimes, like we saw in the game 2, where they had an opening to pick Laundry early, and it worked really well for them. Finding his hero is very important.
Yeah. Well, it is important. This is a double elimination format. Nobody is out, so we are going to see both of these teams in action again at the tournament. And I think that, you know, there were some positives for Business Associates, even though obviously the negatives in Game 2 and Game 3 won out in the series. You also saw over on the other stream, you had Tsunami and Lacoste casting, and you had Aster taking care of business relatively easily in their first match of the tournament. They are going to face up against that forZe squad here coming up, and we are about to move into our second series of the day. Once again, we're going to look at a North America versus CIS matchup as KheZu, recently renamed from Fighting Pandas, they secure the sponsorship as well as a couple of roster changes. They're going to be facing off against what I think is the big wild card team coming into this tournament, Gambit. Tell us a little bit about the situation with Gambit, Lizard. You were at that Mad Moon event.
Yeah, I was there. They had a decent run. They finished, what, 4th or something? They played well overall. Even though they didn't have GPK, they got in FN. He's kind of the black sheep of CIS. No one really wants him, but whenever a stand-in is needed, he gets called in, right? He did all right. I think he filled in GPK's shoes fairly well. He played all the same heroes like GPK, so I don't think we will see a very different approach to the game, because they should be just picking those Kunkas, those Pagnas, those heroes that GPK just loves to play.
All right, we are going to get more from our analyst panel here as we get into the second series of the day. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.